If you're a pro crafter or an armchair critic, there is no need to express how much your soul is cringing at the state of my abilities, because I'm very aware of my crimes. But it's the season of giving, and my gift to you is visual disturbances of hot glue strings.
How horrible our Christmas will be.
I've been binge watching a lot of diorama miniature gods work their magic the past few months, and I decided that I too wanted to have a stab at it. A really big shout out to Mechanical Fiend, as her video on Jack Skellington's build is what inspired me to give it a go. So I'll be building Jack Skellington's house, the Christmas edition. I'm building the base of Jack's house with some craft board. His house is a very annoying shape due to Tim Burton's rules. A right angle is a wrong angle. And there's very limited movie reference material to go off, so my proportions are a little bit off. I started using a ruler to get the correct measurements I needed, and then quickly gave up on that as I have very low patience for tedious activities. Same as using shitty PVA glue to join all my pieces together. It doesn't dry quick enough for me. After giving it some emotional sport tape, I decided to switch to hot glue and do some questionable measuring techniques. This is when I realised I had messed up. Jack's house doesn't look like this. The balcony was clearly subjected to Tim Burton's rule, a right angle is a wrong angle. Because this, I don't know what shape this is called, but I had not accounted for it. So I performed some quick surgery and we're looking all good. I had forgotten to cut the windows out before I assembled everything, so I chose to just risk the whole thing falling apart and cut them out with a blunt craft knife. And now to make this look a little less cardboard box looking and stick on all those wooden slats. I thought it would take me about 2 hours to cover the entire house in the slats. It did not. It took me nearly an entire day. The full-size coffee sticks were far too thick, so I had to spend an eternity splitting these sticks in half. I'm wearing a glove on the hand holding the super glue because I hate super glue getting on my fingers. But the finger touching the wet glue doesn't have a glove on it.
What are you?
An idiot sandwich.
One eternity later.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa!
That's too damn bad!
I gave his house a quick haircut, and this one bounced off the backboard and hit me in the face. I realised I had forgotten to put in a front door, so I quickly whipped one of those up using the cardboard of an Amazon envelope. I don't know what this glue is. I had run out of super glue. PVA is the devil's work, and hot glue would have been a disaster. I hope you're all enjoying the extremely unsatisfying footage. Using the mystery glue and strips of the Amazon envelope, I added edging around the house in a very non-precise manner. I was feeling like the windows were lacking some dimension, so I added a small trim on the inside. And it was 100% not because you could see the coffee sticks. I then wanted to add some plastic on the inside of the windows, so I began cutting out a strip of plastic from a food container, and then was extremely dumb and used a highlighter to try and colour it in, and then switched to paint instead. It was now time to build all the protruding details to Jack's house. I was very confused by the shape of the roof over his front door, and there isn't very many good shots of it, and a lot of models everyone else has made all vary slightly differently. Some are in line with the balcony, others are super long. To me, it extended a lot from the sides, but it was also quite narrow. Here's me realising that I've got my proportions a little bit wrong, and the balcony isn't actually that high up. But I'm not going to restart, so let's just pretend it's all okay. Using some mystery glue and a pencil, I stuck the roof on. Here I am gluing down the house, without making a hole in the bottom to feed the lights up through. But don't worry, because a future mistake will reveal this to me, and I managed to fix the problem. I used these two cut-offs of a bamboo skewer to hold up the mini roof, and now it's time to move on to the big boy roof. I applied a generous amount of hot glue in the incorrect place, and then applied another generous amount in the correct place. I then sealed shut that crack and back end and started working on the front of the roof. For the front, I used the most accurate measuring techniques I could possibly think of, and after the 7th try, I got it right. There is a weird gap, but it's all okay because the whole thing was going to be covered up with coffee sticks anyway. I made the front part of the house off camera and then stuck it on with some hot glue. A majority of the house was now complete, but now it's time to add on those shingles and make Jack's tower. And at the state of my drawing, you can tell I was getting sick of drawing the same shape over and over and over again. Cutting them all out was even worse. It was like an actual punishment. My hands hurt, my eyes hurt, my back hurt, I was tired.
That's too damn bad!
I then stuck on all of the shingles with super glue. I don't know why I'm not wearing any gloves. I had finished all of my shingling and noticed I forgot this little guy, so I popped him on and added a thin piece of cardboard around the edging to hide all of my criminal glue blobs. Due to my measuring and scaling skills basically being non-existent, building the little hut on top of Jack's tower was such a pain in the arse. The first time, it was way too big. The second time, I couldn't work out why my shapes weren't lining up nicely, and I still felt it was way too big. Just, what the fuck is that? The third time, I made the whole thing off camera, and it did look a lot better than the second one, but it was basically the same size, if not bigger. The top of the tower was quite heavy, and my model is kind of small. If I made it out of cardboard, it wouldn't have looked that great and would probably fall over. So I took the ends of 2 giant pipettes and filled them with hot glue so they'd have some strength. The middle part of the tower gets wider, so I made a tear-shaped cardboard sleeve and just slid that on. Yes, I know, there's supposed to be a window here. I forgot to add it. To give it more of a uniform texture, I covered the tower in paper towels and some PVA and water mixture. I think you're supposed to prime these things, so if it all starts to rot and fall apart in the future, I'll know why. I painted the whole thing in a dark grey as a base layer. Then using some watered down black ink, I coated the whole thing again and just dabbed off the excess. Using a lighter grey, I very aggressively brushed on some highlights. After painting everything, we were still very much in Halloween Town, and we need to make Jack's house look like it went from Halloween Town and flew over to Christmas Town. I brushed on some PVA glue and water mixture over the top of the house and gave it a light dusting of baking soda to look like snow. I should have made the base separately and then attached the house to it at the end, but I am dumb. So to make the base, I built a box out of craft board, covered it in hot glue and stuck the house down. I know what you're thinking, you forgot to cut the hole out for the lights. It's okay, my mistake will be revealed to me shortly. Since the house was so top heavy, I was worried it was just going to topple over, so I stapled the back for extra security. The base is looking extremely janky, so I decided to cover the whole thing in kitchen roll and a glue mixture again. I didn't want to wait for the glue to dry, so I activated my big brain and used a hairdryer to make it dry faster. What I didn't realise is that I'm blasting hot air at hot glue, so after I cut the footage, the house did fall off the base. I wanted the base to be covered in snow, so I made my own snow paste out of baking soda, white gesso and PVA glue. Not gonna lie, I didn't think this was going to work, so I was genuinely shocked that it actually looked like snow. And yes, I should have painted the base first and then added the snow, but I was just too excited that it actually looked like snow that I couldn't contain myself. I had made a hole in the base during my first hairdryer mistake and then didn't take the opportunity to feed the lights up through then, so off camera I performed a quick surgery and fed the lights through. This was very finicky and annoying to film, but I twisted the lights up so they would be closer together and they ended up looking a bit like barbed wire, which I feel is very on brand for Jack Skellington. The white lights looked really harsh, so I took some colour pens and very dangerously coloured the bulbs in. While I'm sure Jack would appreciate the polka dot paper towels, I painted the sides in black, and then we were done. In hindsight, I could have made the dead trees in Jack's yard and decorated them with some baubles, or maybe added a wreath to the front door, but when I was finished, it was about 1 AM and I was done.